I remember when we were at the Rainbow Room, he had me walk around the block with him, so he would appear more sober when his wife came, and that's a whole other story I have, which is in my book. But anyway, the thing that was so unique about him is no matter how high he was, he could come up to the bandstand and look stone sober. He would count off a tune flawlessly. He would play flawlessly. And I listened to him a lot because the way he made his runs was very unique. And I was like in a learning stage, even though like I was playing with a lot of people then, I was like comparing, okay, this one does the chromatics this way and this one does it that way. And he did a lot of bossa novas at that time, and I learned all the bossa novas. And no, he was unique. He could play flawlessly. His solos were flawless. There was no bad notes in them. And he could do this even if he was so high he couldn't walk.
So you were, because this is important, I mean, did you guys, so you witnessed him getting high?
I didn't witness him getting high, but I could tell he was high. And he told me he was high. He said, can you, because I've never done any drugs. You know, I'm one of those people that, yeah, ugh, not for me. So, but
then he was, did you play with anybody else that could be that high and then be that confident?
Not that confident, not that confident and confident, but no. He was completely mechanically, like his muscle memory of what he was doing eclipsed the fact that he was totally eviscerated, demolished on drugs. He could, you know, I mean, I could, you know, I imagine if I was high, I could do it too, because my muscle memory, after a while, it gets, you know, every right move to make. You know, it's like a boxer or something. You know, this chord is here. Okay, you play this. And yeah, that was my experience. He was totally flawless, and he announced it flawlessly. And one time we were on a gig in Indiana, and he had me do the lights. And I was dyslexic, so when he came on stage, I blacked him out. Instead of turning the lights on for him, I would get it wrong all the time. So after one night, he said, okay, you're not doing the lights anymore. You're fired as the light person. But anyway, no, he was totally had his act together.
Well, what's the story of walking around the block? Maybe get the stories.
Let's. So he had a show. He had to see Monica, and you walked him around. Can you go to that?
Yeah. I was. This was at the Rainbow Room. We were playing at the Rainbow Room, and he was really high that night. And I mean, I didn't even go in his dressing room. I didn't want to know what he did, because I was a nursemaid to him. I was kind of I was his official walker. So he said, "Oh, Jane," he said, "Monica's coming. Can you walk me around the block?" You know, like he was not together at all. So I said, "Okay." So we went down, and we went to the bottom, 80 floors down, and I was walking him around the block, and he was yak, 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 this, the sky, it's only blue because blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, here comes Monica in a limo, and he said, "Oh shit!" He said, "Okay, you go upstairs. I'm hiding." So he slinked away and he hid someplace behind a garbage can or something. And he said, "Okay, I want you to go upstairs and tell Monica that I'm getting some new reeds. And I want you to introduce yourself." And so I did that, you know, and he said, "Meet her at the elevator." So I said, "Oh, okay." So I met her at the elevator, and I said, "Hi, Monica. I'm Jane. Why don't you come sit at my table? I'm the Stan's pianist." And Stan is out getting reeds. And I was just blown away on how beautiful Monica was. She was Swedish. She was like a prom queen, you know. And I think and the two kids were with her. So that's kind of a short story, but yeah.
Just because you were in a sober state, you know, when you hear that Zoot Sims comment, he was a nice bunch of guys. Do you know what that means?
Oh yes,
Can
yeah.
you talk about the different, the guys, the different guys? How many guys were there?
Well, Stan always was the know-it-all. I mean, no matter which guy he was, that guy knew everything. So he really never stopped talking. I mean, whether he was high or not high, I never saw him in a contemplative mood. He was always talking to women. He was always trying to hustle something, but you know, in a kind of a genteel way. You know, he wasn't brash or vulgar or anything. Yeah, he was actually. I take that back. I do take that back, especially when he was talking about women. So, you know. But anyway, I'm the kind of person that didn't pay any attention to it. I was so wrapped up in the music and my career and, whoa, I'm playing with Stan Getz. Yeah, come see me, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, he was very many people, but he had one personality that it wasn't really warm or anything. It was just like he was focused, even though he did a lot of drugs and he was always talking. He was focused on what he wanted at the time, and whether it was playing, like playing a song or something, he was focused on that. Or if it was talking to a woman, he was focused. So he was a very focused person, and his playing kind of shows that.
Did you ever leave your physical body on the bandstand playing with Stan? A transcendent experience.
Yes, I've done that many times.
But with Stan in particular, can you talk about a memory when that happened?
Yeah, it's kind of like sometimes when he played the bossa novas, I was transported like almost to Brazil, like through the universe, because his notes were not only were his notes perfect, but his feel was perfect for what he was doing. He was like an extremely gifted person. I mean, I don't even think that music was enough for him. I think that was one of his challenges. I think his mind was so facile that he probably could have done several things other than just play the saxophone. And if it hadn't been for drugs, he probably would have. He's a very smart man, very intelligent, and he could hold a really good conversation with you if he wanted something.
Well, it's funny, you talked about his focus, and that was the name of one of his seminal albums, was Focus. But I'm wondering, did he ever turn his focus on you?
Oh no, and that was the funny thing was, all the bands I worked with, no one ever hit on me. No guys ever like tried to, I mean, I wasn't unattractive, but I decided when I first started playing, you know, with bands, that one of my germane rules was I was not going to go out with any of them. I was not going to sleep with any of them, for God's sake. And I was not, you know, this was going to be a business relationship. And actually, it served me very well because I'm still playing with some of them. And I didn't wear provocative clothes at that time. I mean, now I can wear whatever I want to. But then I wore kind of suits and, you know, nice things, but I never, like, showcased myself. I was always like a kind of a player.
Mhm.
So.
Did you ever wonder why Stan needed to get high so dramatically and thoroughly? Was he running from something? Was he afraid of something? Or was just, why? Why so much drugs, do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, I had one experience with drugs. Outside of smoking pot a few times when I was a teenager, I snorted some heroin once. Maybe in my 20, when I was 19, 20. And it was like a meditative experience for me. I was so much in present time. It was amazing. I wasn't in the future, I wasn't behind, I was right there in present time. And I thought, this is so good, I'm never doing it again. And so I think that's the reason people start drugs, because it feels good. And then maybe they have psychological problems too they're trying to get away from. I'm telling you that that one time I did that, I felt I had no problems at the time. You know, I remember that night. So,
Did you ever compose or arrange any tunes for Stan? Or any tunes commemorating Stan?
no, I never did.
So when you think about him today, what are the lasting legacies in your mind about Stan Getz that people that see this documentary should remember, should know about him as we promote him in the future?
Well, it's not only, well, he was so lyrical. He was one of the very few lyrical players that completed his sentences musically. You know, there was a lot of lyrical players before him, but to me they didn't complete their sentences. They were it was kind of soft, but Stan had ideas and he completed them. And when he got onto the bossa nova thing, it was just like a match made in heaven. Because bossa nova lent themselves to lyrical playing and music, and I think it was just, I mean, it was kind of, I wouldn't use the word revolutionary like Coltrane, but it was aside from what was happening at the time. He really carved out a niche for himself that was kind of universal and forever.